Okay, let's go on and let's look at this part of it, where we're looking at this new section here, where Agent Smith shows up. Now, Agent Smith is operating a little bit different now. Okay, this why it's called Reloaded, because the computer program is upgrading itself to compensate for the change. Neo picks up on it. So he's going to go out there and interrupt this conversation.
We are nearing the end of our struggle. The prophecy will be fulfilled soon, but before it can be, the oracle must be consulted.
Now you see again, Morpheus is what? He's still caught up in the oracle and in the prophecy, because his whole thing is he represents faith through prophecy, faith through revelation through another agency, if you will. That's what Morpheus represents. He's kind of like a symbol of a believer, a religious believer. His motivation. You stop and think about how people deal with the issue of evil in our lives today. We're motivated by a prophecy or religion, or Christians are looking for the return of Jesus. Muslims are looking for the return of the Mahdi. I think a Hindu are looking for the Maitreya. Somebody, just like we just finished 2012, people are looking for the return of somebody, and the idea is that when they come back, they're going to, complete the mission. They're going to take everything away, okay? And so this becomes a critical issue. So anyway, let's look at this and see what happens to what what Neo discovers. Now you remember in the last movie, Neo was able to beat all the agents very easily.
Well before the machines have reached this depth.
Let's move on from this. Let's move from this and get to the fight.
She set me free.
Okay, let's go back and check that out. Let's go back and check that out.
Or a gift.
Okay, let me get it a little bit further. Okay.
God damn it, Morpheus, you ain't never gonna change. Shit, I'll do it just to see what Deadbolt does to you. You got 36 hours.
Now, this is Agent Smith.
I'm looking for Neo.
Never heard of him.
I have something for him. A gift. You see, set me free.
All right, you see that? In other words, he says that Neo set him free. That's Agent Smith. Mm-hmm. So now Agent Smith is unplugged from what? From the Matrix, or from the machine world. So he's a free agent now. See, in the first movie, he was an agent of the system. He was a servant of the system. Now he's a free agent. I like to view Agent Smith like a cancer. Now, why is Agent Smith still around? Why is it that he is getting ready to do what he's getting ready to do? Why? What's motivating him? I don't want you to answer that right now. I just want to introduce the question. So he hands the little boy this.
Now piss off.
Who was that? But you know someone was here.
He gave you this.
Watch what he gives him. What's that?
That's the earpiece.
That's the earpiece that shows that I'm what?
Unplugged.
I'm unplugged. Okay?
You said you set him free.
Is everything all right, sir?
The meeting is over. Retreat to your exits. Agents.
Agent.
Go.
So these agents come. And so these are different kinds of agents now. They have upgraded so they can be able to what? That's right, compensate for Neo's new power. They had to upgrade their machine. See, that's what this whole thing is about. Like I said in the introduction here, is that you only get smarter by playing a smarter opponent. The more sophisticated the game, the more sophisticated the opponent. Most people are not able to realize this when they begin to get conscious. Well, the more conscious you become, the higher level you go to, the system itself adjusts, and it meets you at that level of your adjustment. So you can't just simply say, well, I learned this stuff back in 1995 or 1985, and I'm ready to go out here and face the world. Well, it has changed. The information that you just now got then, now, is really obsolete. It's just like, you can see that in a computer analogy, can't you? I mean, okay, you got you one of them big old bulky looking cell phones that they had back in 1995. That's good and everything, but look at these things that it's no need me bringing mine, because that but if I had Katrina's, yeah, that's that modern stuff. Look at this.
How you fellas?
It's him.
The anomaly. Do we proceed? Yes. He is still
Only human.
upgrades.
Okay, so you see, upgrades. They upgrades. All right. So when I look at the movie, this movie, The Matrix here, the first movie was about action. The second one, to me, is about speeches. So let's go to the speech whereby we come to this place called Zion, and Zion is this place underground in the core of the earth, and it's called Zion. Zion. Wonder why it's called Zion. Wonder why she named it Zion. Anybody got an idea? Why is it called Zion?
Zion is normally akin to like a retreat or, kind of
Okay.
a safe haven type paradise, type thing.
Right, paradise. It's that center city. It's the city of God, and the word Zion also can be another way for saying sun and everything. And remember now, in the first movie, we saw that the desert of the real was this destroyed earth. So Zion is the last place where people who are born unchained to the matrix exist. And all those who have been freed from the matrix, exist there in Zion. Okay, so let's move to that real quick. Like, it's important to understand too that Zion is in the story of the Matrix. Zion is symbolic of Plato's cave. Okay, so this is Zion.
It's also symbolic of 2012.
What do you mean?
If you flip the N and the Z on the side and then read it backwards.
Oh yeah, 2012. Okay, 2012. All right. Yeah, let me move on a little bit further here, and we get to this. Okay, we're gonna come to this speech. I want you to listen to this speech that Morpheus makes. Let's kind of decode this speech of what Morpheus makes. Morpheus, notice they're in the cave. Well, what's this about? In Plato's Republic, Plato gives this allegory of the cave, the people in the cave. And let me tell you what that's about. And Plato had this allegory to explain the non-reality of human existence compared to people who have been born or have been chained since they were children to a wall in a cave, and behind them was a fire, and all they ever saw was what was projected on the wall of the cave in front of them, but behind them was this fire or this light, and people real people dancing behind that fire, projecting their silhouette or their shadow onto the wall. The people that were chained in the cave didn't see what's behind them. They only could see what's in front of them, and they thought that the shadows on the wall were real. So his point is that we are like prisoners in the human world, in this third dimensional world, who are like chained to an existence, and we're never looking at reality. We're only looking at shadows. We're only looking at projections. Now, what? Oh yeah, but see, that's pretty interesting to me, because to a large extent, that's kind of like a foreshadowing of a projector. Because when you look at a film and you get engrossed in the film, you're not looking at reality. You're looking at the projection. The reality is what's coming from the machine. So many times when people get caught up in a movie, get caught up in a story, they want to change what they see on the TV screen. They'll throw a shoe at it, or they'll get mad at the characters or whatever and everything. But that's not where you change it, because that is nothing more than a reflection of whoever set up the film in the projector. To a large extent, what the analogy of the cave that we're getting ready to watch is saying that even when the people who are not connected to the matrix by way of the machine world, they are still trapped and prisoners of an illusion. A projection of their own thought from their mind there. In other words, it's saying is that if you want to change your reality, it's not going to do any good to try to change the world that you are seeing, because the world that you are seeing is nothing more than a projection of the thoughts and the beliefs and the ideas that are in your mind. So you got to change the film in the projector, your mind movie. Can everybody can see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's what this is about. So here, so you got this thing set up. The machines are digging into Zion. The machines are digging into this center where the last bastion of human reality exists. The machines are digging. The machines recognize that this growing population of humanity is creating a threat to their existence, because all these people here, many of them used to be what? Plugged into the matrix. And the more people who wake up, the more power and the more energy the machine world loses. Okay? Everybody got that? And so what that means is that the machines are trying to put an end to this revolution. Okay? And everything. So Morpheus makes this speech, and let's listen to Morpheus' speech right quick. Let's listen to Morpheus' speech.
Found and who stand here beside you. Now I would like someone else to close this prayer. Someone who hasn't spoken here in a long time, but who I believe has something to say that we all need to hear. I give you Morpheus.
See, Morpheus, it represents faith. All these people are believing that the end of the war is about to come about, and therefore Morpheus is here to strengthen their faith with this speech.
Machines have gathered an army, and as I speak, that army is drawing nearer to our home. Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here before you now, truthfully, unafraid. Why? Because I believe something you do not? No. I stand here without fear because I remember. I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. I remember that for 100 years they have set their armies to destroy us. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us send a message to that army. Tonight, let us shake this cave. Tonight, let us tremble these walls of earth, steel, and stone. Let us be heard from red tar to black sky. Tonight, let us make them remember. This is Zion, and we are not afraid.
Okay, so that's his big speech. He is encouraging them to tap into their humanity. They have been put into this dream world for so long. They have lost contact of what it is to be human, and therefore he's going to send to the machine world that the war is on. We are human. You are artificial intelligence, and we are not afraid. We are filled with faith that we're going to win this war. You see, because Morpheus believes, once again, Morpheus believes that now that he has the ultimate weapon, which is Neo, we're going to win. Now, see, to me, this is a very important thing, and I'm going to say this too. Of the three Matrices movies, number one was the most popular because it readily identifies with the average person's outlook on the problem of the world. We need a savior. We need a hero. We need a Michael Jordan. We need somebody to come and rescue us. Morpheus has that. But it's interesting that when movie 2 and movie 3 came out, movie 2 was less popular than movie 1. Much less popular. Movie 3 was the most unpopular. Why? It's too deep, yes, it was too deep, but that's true. Because ultimately, I don't know if people really wanted to piggyback on your too deep point, which is really true. I don't think that people really want to deal with the complexity of the problem of evil. Why are we in the Matrix? You see, from Morpheus' standpoint, we're in the Matrix because it's the machines. They put us in the Matrix. We're in the Matrix because, from a standpoint talking about, let's say, how people verbalize the problem of our society today as it relates to African American people, well, we're in the situation because of white folk. It's white supremacy. We're in a war. And if we got rid of our enemy, we would be free. If we got rid of the devil, we'll be free. We're in these dichotomies. Good versus evil. Black versus white. White versus black. Educated versus uneducated. Rich versus poor. We're in these wars. And therefore, you're looking for heroic figures, saviors to come and deliver you. And we have the people who preach and who teach us that if we have this particular philosophy or this particular person to come, they would be the answer to our problem. And now it's getting ready to happen. We've come to the end of the world because everything that the prophecy foretold is now present. Now, for most people, they don't want to go beyond that. Any comments on that particular aspect of it? While I set the next topic? No? I want to go to this conversation that Neo has with this counselor named Counselor Hamlin. If you notice let me just pause it right here. If you notice that in this movie here, this part here, where you see Morpheus and Trinity making love, and all the people dancing and being highly sexual in the cave when they're playing the music. What this is about is that this is again going back to the root chakra. That's a part of our humanity, and people they're so happy to be free that they're celebrating their humanity. But watch Neo. They're partying because it's 1999. You know, the war is about to end. So not Morpheus, but Trinity and Neo are in ecstasy. But look and watch it. He can't do it. Something's wrong with him. You see what's wrong with him? He sees Trinity falling. See, the problem is that each movie of the Matrix begins with Trinity in danger. This one started the same. I just didn't show it to you. Trinity in danger and Neo asleep. This one started the same way. Neo hadn't been able to sleep. Why? Because just being awakened to his nature of as the one is not enough. He needs to know, what am I here to do? He began to have these dreams of Trinity dying. He's in love with love. Trinity symbolizes love. So we have Morpheus symbolizes faith, Trinity symbolizes love, Neo symbolizes hope or will. So Will is in love with love. He's in love with Trinity. And yet his will is strengthened by her love, and now he begins to see her die. He's having these premonitions of her death, and he can't sleep, and he's confused. You see, that's what I mean when I say that awakening leads to another problem. Now that I'm conscious, I'm beginning to explore deeper fears in me, the fear of death. That's why the second movie is not as popular, because it forces us to look at our own limitations, our own fears, and that's what many times people don't want to deal with. Because think about it, if you got a hero coming to save you, why you need to look at your fears? Why you need to look at an alternative perspective? It's all going to work out. It's all going according to plan. It's all been foretold. It's all been foreshadowed. I don't need to make a choice. The choice is already made. I took the red pill. Now it's all going to work out according to plan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. When I saw Matrix 2, it challenged me in a very deep way, because at that point in time, I was beginning to look more seriously and carefully at Christian theology and some other things about the history of our faith in terms of the dark shadow or the dark side of the history of the Christian faith. And that is, why were the so-called pagans and the so-called Gnostics wiped out, massacred by the literalist church, the church that basically is in power today? Why were they done it? It makes you kind of wonder, what were they trying to hide? What they didn't want. I mean, I understand that these are your enemies and everything, but you burn their books, you burn libraries. Why does anybody do that? Unless they're trying to erase the record in your consciousness so that you cannot find your way to the deeper truth. Why is it that, for the most part, congregations and mosques like to deal with simplicity and don't, or temples, and don't want to really deal with the complexities of evil, the complexities of life? But we like to have simplistic answers for very deep and complex problems. See, when I look at how the masses responded to this trilogy, Matrix 1, 2, and 3, to me it's reflective of how dumbed down so-called religious people are.
People in general.
And people in general. People really don't like to think. People really like simplicity. They really love simplicity, to be honest with you. And the more you make them think, the more you burden them.
A lot of people are open to admit that too.
See, it's very easy to say the problem is all white people. The problem is all black people. The problem is all Hispanic people. The problem is all the enemy whoever our nation is fighting. If you know, this is what it is. It's either you're Republican or you're a Democrat. Either you're a red state or you're a blue state. Either you're for Obama or you're against Obama. See, that's very simplistic. That's very simplistic.
Now
You know.
answer why.
You say what?
I said now answer why.
Now the question is why?
You can't say
Why are we in this position? And this is why people go to church. They want answers, but they want simplistic answers, packaged answers, redundant answers, non-nuanced answers.
Rhetorical.
That's exactly right. All right. So we come to this part in the Matrix trilogy where this guy named Counselor Hanneman begins to answer a deeper question.
That you are in fact,
Let's go back and watch this conversation that he has with Neo.
so could I.
Neo couldn't sleep. He can't sleep.
It's nice tonight. Very calm.
Feels like everyone is sleeping very peacefully.
Not everyone. I hate sleeping.
I never sleep more than a few hours. I figure I slept the first 11 years of my life, now I'm making up for it.
What about you? I just haven't been able to sleep much.
It's a good sign.
Of what? That you are in fact still human.
See, this man, this counselor, is beginning to have deep thoughts about what's really going on. You know. Now they're going to the engineering
Almost
section.
no one comes down here, unless of course there's a problem. That's how it is with people. Nobody cares how it works as long as it works.
You see that? Isn't that the truth? Nobody cares how it works as long as it works. See, what I'm trying to say is that many times people don't really want to deal with, you know, what's going on, how it's happening this way, how did we get in this way. Just give me a simple answer. Give me a book that has all the answers in it, and I can read it and go from there.
I like it down here. I like to be reminded this city survives because of these machines. These machines are keeping us alive while other machines are coming to kill us.
And see, now that's a very important statement. He's looking at this, there's this war between the machines and the humans. But at the same time, the machines and the humans are entangled. got machines coming to kill us, as he says, and yet our very life is dependent on machines.
And the machine's life is connected upon them.
That's exactly right. You know, I'll be honest with you. I listen to a lot of rhetoric in our society, and I really want y'all to think about this. And you know, feel free to come in and say what you need to say. But you know, you think about a lot of rhetoric in our society, and we have this idea. People have these ideas. Some spoken by people of different perspectives and religions and everything. The idea is let's go back to Africa. Or the idea is that let's create black town, black money. Or reverse it. Let's get rid of all these Negroes. Let's get rid of all these aliens, foreigners and everything coming to our nation. People want to create a world whereby they don't have to exist. The simplest answer saying that, well, if we spend our money among our own kind, it'll be better. Never mind that you are tied to a larger society. And if you stood up in a meeting and begin to have a deep conversation, people would shush you down. People would say, you're a sellout, you're Uncle Tom, you're not with it, you're not down. But you're asking some real deep questions of how you're going to do that. Let me give you a good example. I was talking to some brothers who were really down for the cause. They, radical into the movement and everything. And they were talking about, they were criticizing blacks who moved to a integrated neighborhood. They moved to a mixed neighborhood, saying that we should all be, in the predominantly black neighborhoods because we're hurting each other. And I understand the sentiment of the answer. They still wanted to maintain, let's say, the way it was 30, 60, 50 years ago. And I asked them a simple question. I said, if these people are your enemies and all of you are in the same neighborhood, same community, living together, if they are your enemies, according to you say, wouldn't that make you an easier target? And I said, well, as I look around in your library and your store and everything, I said, I see you have books written by people that you label as your racial enemy. Why you trust them? You drive on, you use currency, you drive on streets, you have to get your lights. You have people who have intermarried across racial lines. What are you going to do about them? People don't want to deal with those questions. Because it's very simple to deal with questions of dichotomies. Evil, good. Evil is over there. Good is over here. They are evil. We are good. They are sinners. We are the saints. See, we make many different lines along the way, no matter whether it's religious, racial, economic, educational. All got lines. And when people don't necessarily understand the complexity of our world, it's very easy to seduce them into a simple argument. Not saying their heart is wrong. It's just how we are going to get there and how we got there and why are we in this. It's not as clear. Let's look at the rest of this.
Interesting, isn't it? Power to give life, the power to end it. We have the same power. Yeah, I suppose we do, but down here sometimes I think about all those people still plugged into the matrix, and when I look at these machines, I can't help thinking that in a way we are plugged into them.
Boom, you see that? What do you discern from that?
Basically, these machines need us to operate it also. They need us to operate them.
In quantum physics, they call this the principle of entanglement.
One way or another, tied to something else that gives you your power.
That's right. So what is control? That's the question. What is control?
But we control these machines, they don't control us.
Of course not. How could they? The idea is pure nonsense, but it does make one wonder just what is control?
If we wanted, we could shut these machines down.
That's it. You hit it. That's control, isn't it?
Yeah. We can just shut them down. We can make the choice. We say we free. We can make choice. We can just shut it down. We can just, disconnect from this world system. We can create a life whereby we don't have to see the other. I mean, when you get down to it, it's some very serious answers can be made about this. Because you think about the idea of the whole gay and straight thing. What do you do with them? That's evil. What we practice is good. What do you do with them? What do you do with them when the very TV you watch, entertainment, they're on it, and you enjoy their music? What do you do with them? Do you burn them? Do you try to exterminate them like Hitler decided to want to exterminate the Jews? What do you do with them? What do you do with them when they may be your mom or your daughter or your brother or, a family member, somebody you love, or your son or your daughter? What do you do then?
If we wanted, we could smash them to bits. Although if we did, we'd have to consider what would happen to our lights, our heat, our air.
So we need machines and they need us. Is that your point, Counselor?
No. No point. Old men like me don't bother with making points. There's no point.
Is that why there are no young men on the council?
Good point.
Why don't you tell me what's on your mind, Counselor?
And here's the point.
There is so much in this world that I do not understand.
Now that becomes the key that begins to open us up to the next level of consciousness, the next level of growth. Is the admission that there's so much about this world, about God, about life, about what's going on, that what? That I do not understand.
That you talked about this morning.
Say again?
I said that's what you talked about this morning.
Right. There's so much that we don't understand. Which brings us back to the fourth chakra, the heart. Is that what spurs the second level of growth, because this is the second movie, the second level of growth, is that we have to admit that I don't see clearly, I don't really know what's going on before I act. Let's see if we can finish this point.
See that machine? It has something to do with recycling our water supply. I have absolutely no idea how it works, but I do understand the reason for it to work. I have absolutely no idea how you were able to do some of the things you do. But I believe there's a reason for that as well. I only hope we understand that reason before it's too late.
Okay. So now we begin to get to the heart of the movie.
Yep.
Now watch this section here. Let me throw this in here. I didn't mean to show it, but I'm going to show it now anyway. This is a very cryptic point of view that opens up to, now as the movie begins to pick up, it begins to go into what I would consider it begins to intensify and begins to answer the question, why are we in the matrix? What is really, in other words, why are we really in this trouble? What's really going on? How did we get here? Is it as simple as they did it? Or is there something that we need to know about ourselves as the reason? We're gonna eventually get into the whole thing of the whole thing about the Oracle is going to reveal herself. Then we're going to meet a fellow by the name of the Merovingian. And then we're going to come to the ultimate climax where we're going to understand what's really going on when we go and we meet who? The architect. That's what this whole second movie is about. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I was at this movie, because I was, I'm a Matrix guy, and when the architect spoke, that shut me down. I knew right then it had me hooked, man, because what he said was so profound. I thought about everything I have ever learned, everything I ever been taught, and I said, wow, we are truly trapped. And the answers that we think we got are not the answers. But anyway, let's look at this little part here. You're really gonna get a kick out of this. Let me see if you can figure out what the symbolism is that's about to happen.
Just in time. You're gonna see the Oracle, aren't you?
We don't have time.
I'm sorry, sir. I just had to give something to Neo. A gift from one of the orphans. He made me swear to get it to you before he left. He said you'd understand.
Now, what does that mean?
There is no spoon.
What does that mean? What is this child sent through this boy this gift of the spoon? What was he trying to say to Neo as he's getting ready to go to the next part of his experience, of his journey?
To, I guess, don't get caught up in the illusion. Like, whatever you think is there, it's not really there. It's more of an illusion.
You're back to the whole thing of why the cave is there. What the cave symbolized. That you're watching a projection. It is an imagination. It is an illusion. There is no spoon. Now, obviously, when I had to watch this movie about 3 or 4 times before I really got it. But, I can see it now. Okay? Because he's getting ready to get, like, what did the guy say? The trick is not to what? Bend the spoon, but to what?
Being yourself.
Bend yourself. And what he's telling him is that you have to be flexible. Because you're getting ready to have an experience here that is going to require that you're going to have to let go of some ideas that you thought were real. And therein, again, a reason why a lot of people couldn't get into Matrix 2. Because the symbolism and what they were leading you to was so deep and profound that most people, don't want to take time to contemplate, what the symbol means. Anyway, let's move on. Anybody have any questions?
I got a comment.
Okay, go ahead. Let me get this going. Now, go ahead.
Also, like you said, the first one was about action. People like entertainment. This one was about speeches. And speeches, you have to critically think about, most speeches and stuff.
Wow.
So that's another reason why the first one was so popular. It was entertainment, and like you said, it was the hero story in a nutshell, basically.
Right.
On the surface, if we don't want to go no deeper, it's the hero story. But this one, it didn't have as much action. You had to listen.
Listen to the speeches, and they're more philosophical.
Right.
And it requires that you have to really pay attention and think about what's being told you. Okay? And here's one of the great speeches. This is I don't know how many times I've watched this speech between Neo and the Oracle. But this is one of the great speeches in this whole movie. Let's watch this right quick.
Another position opens one of these doors.
Are you a programmer?
Then what are you? I protect that which matters most.
Now, here, this guy is known as Seraph. As you know, this is kind of like an abbreviation of the Seraphim, which are angels. He said his program, his duty, purpose is to what? Protect that which matters most. Okay, and guess who? And guess who he's protecting? The Oracle. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the secret and all this. I'm going to let you kind of figure it out yourself along the way. So right now, you see they come out of that world that they were in, where all this action was going on, and they're like it's like they're in these little rooms, back rooms. These are the back doors to the computer program. So this is how you go from, like in the computer, this is like how you go from one page to another page. From one website to another website. You take the back door. And then you open the door. And guess who appears? The Oracle. She's been hiding in the second movie, and she's running from Agent Smith. Now, let's watch this dialogue here. This is very profound here.
Well, come on. I ain't gonna bite you. Come around here and let me have a look at you. My goodness, look at you. You turned out all right, didn't you? How do you feel? I know you're not sleeping. We'll get to that.
Now, how does she know how does she know that he's not sleeping? Interesting.
Why don't you come and have a sip this time?
Maybe I'll stay.
Well, suit yourself.
Why do you think he has resistance to the fact of her knowing what he's going to do?
Because that's natural.
Let me tell you this. It's because this movie also draws a dichotomy or draws a comparison or contrast, that's a better word, between are you free or are you determined? It's a Neo wants to believe that he is the master of his own fate. He wants to believe that he has free choice. The machines, and particularly the ones in the Matrix, the programs in the Matrix, they want to say that you are programmed. They are programs, you are programs. So this is a question not only between man and machine. This is a question between free will, Neo, and predeterminism or determinism. So is your life, our lives, are we programs, predetermined, or y'all know what I mean? I say predetermined. You know what I mean? I'm saying basically, if you're going by a prophecy, if you're going by a program, in other words, there's no free will. It's all been determined. You just basically just playing your part.
And you know what? I've always wondered that when you say God knows everything, and He knows everything that you're gonna do before you do it. And I'm like, well, if He already know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna end up, what choices I'm gonna make,
right,
what my end is gonna be, what's the point?
What's the point? And see, that's the question you're not supposed to ask in church.
Right.
Because if God knows everything, and therefore did not God know in the story of the Adam and Eve story that Adam would do what he did, Eve would do what they would do, they would do what they did, then why did you create only to put them in an environment whereby they are simply going to follow the program that they were predestined to follow, and we'll all end up going to hell, or people go to hell because they're actually, can they really make a difference?
Right.
I mean, if you are predestined for hell, can you really make a choice?
Right.
Do you really have choice? See, these are theological questions, again, that we should be having in church, but people don't come to church to have deep theological questions and discussions. They come to be told what to think and what to do. Not just in church, but in temples. Because wherever you have prophets and apostles, you have people in authority who tell you what you need to think. And the more you ask questions, the more problematic you become. Because they already know, because God or some higher being has already told them. So, do you have free will? Do you have free will? That's why.
I felt like sitting.
I know. So, let's get the obvious stuff out
Watch
of the
this.
way.
Watch this. Look at the obvious.
You're not human, are you?
Well, it's tough to get any more obvious than that.
So he finally figured out. See, he finally figured out that she is not human. Well, then who is she?
If I had to guess, I'd say you're a program from the machine world. So is he.
So, they are programs from the machine world. They are in war against programs of the machine world. And they are programs of the machine world. Do you understand the conflict in this? So, remember now, Morpheus has told him that, you got to go see the Oracle. You got to consult the Oracle. But the Oracle is a part of the group that is trying to destroy you, and you trying to destroy them. Leads to the next question.
So far, so good.
But if that's true, that could mean you were part of this system. Another kind of control.
There you go. He's beginning, I'm telling you, he was asleep in the second movie. He's beginning to wake up to why we are in the Matrix. How complex this thing is.
Keep going.
I suppose the most obvious question is, how can I trust you?
Bingo.
That's it. How can I trust you? Let's see, this is the problem, again, when we have simplistic views of life, world, evil, good, all that kind of stuff. We run into people who are supposed to be our enemy that we are fighting against, and they are actually supporters and helpers of our cause. And yet, they are our enemy. What do you do now?
Change everything.
So you discover that the situation is more complex than what you thought.
I hate all white people, except Susie.
Yeah. 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 Let's keep going.
It is a pickle, no doubt about it. Bad news is there's no way if you can really know whether I'm here to help you or not. So it's really up to you. Just have to make up your own damn mind to either accept what I'm going to tell you or reject it.
Then watch this.
Candy?
If you notice, in every movie, the Oracle offers him something. Every one of them. The first one, second, and third one. In the first movie, she offered him what? Cookies. And he took it, right? In this movie, she offers him candy. Red candy. Because that deals with red, deals with the lower chakras. The lowest chakra. As long as you're in that state of consciousness, it's hard for you to bear the higher and deeper truth. You need a little sugar, you need some candy or some cookies to be able to digest it. See, people can't handle hard, real truth. You can't handle reality. Like Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle it. So therefore, in order for you to get it, got to give you some red drink, got to give you some candy, some cookies, and everything, so you can digest the truth. And watch Neo. He's trying to make a choice now,
You
see?
already know if I'm going to take it.
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Watch this. Watch this. I got to go back and get
Come
this.
here to make the choice.
Watch this.
How
Watch
can I
this.
make a choice?
How can I make a
Because
choice?
you didn't come here to make the choice.
You didn't come here to make the choice. Let's broaden that. You didn't come here to make a choice. I'm talking about here in this incarnation.
Right. Now you're looking at
You see, everything, as we look at it from a spiritual perspective, this is the world of effect. The world of causation is in the higher planes of the spiritual world. So the choice wasn't made here. The choice was made there. Before you got here, if you will.
and we are the projection.
We are the projection of our own choice, of our own selves in a higher world. In other words, in the higher dimensions, there is you, the real you. You are here because you are here ultimately in this world because you are having an experience for a purpose. And I'm not going to say what that purpose is right now. Let the movie figure it out for you. But you didn't come here to make a choice. You've already made it. So what's the point in being here if you already made it?
Already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
That's the big question. Why? Why did you set up this life that you are living?
Lord, why?
Why did you set up this experience? That's right, Lord, why? But the question is to you. Why did you establish this soul contract that you are living? Why did, listen what I'm saying. Why did, in your case, why did you choose, to in your higher dimensional self, why did you choose, or in that time where you made those decisions to come here to earth and to have this experience known as Trina, why did you choose that man to be in your life? Why did you choose those parents? Why did you choose this experience? You are here to discover why. You've already made the choice. You've already determined when you be born. You've already determined when you would die, how you would die. You've already made those decisions. Now you have to understand why. So the purpose of being here, if you have to understand why, what's your purpose of being here? What's your purpose? To know thyself.
Higher self.
Your higher self. Because this is only a projection of your true self.
That's deep.
That's why we decoded this. Let's keep going. So what he does, he takes the candy.
I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Why are you here?
Same reason. I love candy.
But why help us?
We're all here to do what we're all here to do. I'm interested in one thing, Neo, the future. And believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
You see, she recognizes what? We all are entangled. And she is not so entangled, or she's not so inflexible to her nature that she can't see the subtleties and the nuances of the problem inherent in the programming of the matrix. She recognizes, and she's the oracle, which means she recognizes she is a part of the right brain. She's a part of the subconscious mind. And she has already figured some things out in this war between good and evil, man and machine. And she sees the problem of dualistic thinking. So they're trying to work it out.
There are other programs like you?
Oh, not like me, but look, see those birds? At some point, a program was written to govern them. A program was written to watch over the trees and the wind, sunrise and sunset.
Who's writing all these programs?
Programs running all over the place. The ones doing their job, doing what they were meant to do, are invisible. You never even know they were here. But the other ones, well, you hear about them all the time.
I've never heard of them.
Of course you have. Every time you've heard someone say they saw a ghost or an angel, Every story you've ever heard about vampires, werewolves, or aliens is the system assimilating some program that's doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
Now, if they're not supposed to be doing it, and they are programs, how are they doing it? You understand what I'm saying? If they are programs, do these machines or these programs, are they becoming like humans? Where they begin to want to express free will? You see, in other words, the creator is in the creation. And the creation is in the creator. So to some extent, whenever you create, that which you create takes on characteristics of the creator, and vice versa. You ever stop and think about when you listen to some of the Muslims' theory of the origin of evil? It goes back to the question of the way they talk about Yaqub. And you know, in their system of evil, the white man is the devil. Well, the question is, okay, the white man is the devil, the black man is righteous in their system of thinking. Well, where did the white man come from? Well, their solution is he was created. Is that right? I don't know. Is that right? He was created by Yaqub. Well, who is Yaqub? A black scientist. Well, then the question is, if the black scientist created the devil, which is the white man, then who is more evil? The creature or the creator? Let me put it another way. Let me use the traditional Christian paradigm. God created all things, correct? Well, therefore God created Satan. So if God created Satan, then how did Satan, or he was Lucifer, and God gave all that he created free will? Because God doesn't create robots, as it said. Then how did and why did God create that which he knew would turn against him? You see, it's not that there's anything wrong with the ultimate supreme creator. The fact is how we telling this story has more to do with how we are looking through our limited understanding at the story. And this will be fleshed out a little bit more as we go deeper into the Matrix, particularly part 3. But it does raise some deep philosophical questions as to the origin of evil. One of the things I like to do when I talk to people of different cultures and different religions and philosophical systems, I really want to understand, how do you explain evil? Because everybody recognizes that, there's this resisting force in the world. How do you explain evil? What's your theory? What's your thought on that? It's interesting. Anyway, let's finish watching this.
Programs hacking programs. Why?
There are reasons, but usually a program chooses exile when it faces deletion.
And why would a program be deleted?
Maybe it breaks down. Maybe a better program is created to replace it. Happens all the time. And when it does, a program can either choose to hide here.
It can do what? Choose. It can choose to hide in the Matrix.
Or return to the source.
The machine mainframe.
Yes. Where he must go. Where the path of the one ends. You've seen it. In your dreams, haven't you? The door made of light. What happens when you go through the door?
I see Trinity, and something happens. Something bad. She starts to fall, and then I wake up.
Do you see her die?
No.
You have the sight now, Neil. You are looking at the world without time.
Then why can't I see what happens to her?
We can never see past the choices we don't understand.
That's a very important thing, because we all have dreams and we all want to know the future and know heaven. But here's the point: there's some answers you can't get because you can never see past the choices you don't understand. So to a large extent, our understanding is sketchy. We know in part, as the Bible says, and we prophesy in part, because many times we cannot handle, we're not ready for all the truth. So in other words, there's some truth you're not going to get by reason. You know, there's some truth by deductive reasoning. There's truth that you're not going to get by prophecy. By somebody telling you that the prophecy says this, says that. There's some truth that you have to gain through experience. Some things you have to go through the path. You have to walk the path. You have to go through the experience to get certain things, because that's why you set it up that way. You set it that way whereby there will be clues that you will find in the process of your life, and you begin to put together and you begin to discover, I see what and I see what I'm here to do. And at that particular point in time, you actually begin to stop questioning so much, and you begin to know certain things that, number one, it's going to be okay. But it's still a journey of discovery that requires you to have faith to walk it blindly. You walk by faith, not by reason, sight. Because if you could see it, there wouldn't be any growth.
Are you saying I have to choose whether Trinity lives or dies?
No. You've already made the choice. Now you have to understand it.
No. I can't do that. I won't.
Why can't he do it? So that's the block in his head. He can't do that. He can't, he loves Trinity. And he sees Trinity fall. He doesn't see her die, but he sees her fall. Look like she's falling to her death. But he's already made the choice whether or not he's going to save her or not.
So that goes off to like when we go from one level of learning to the next level. Almost like we want to hold on to the past, and we see it's not, feasible no more, but we want to.
But see, what blocks you, you're right, you're on the right path, but here's what blocks us from knowing. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the own world we have set up.
Yeah.
Fear. That's why learning to overcome your fear of death, your fear of the end, your fear of life, if you will, begins to help you to be able to truly love unconditionally. But as long as you have that fear, you can't really live, and you can't really truly love.
You have to.
Why?
Because you're the one.
I don't think he really want to be the one now. Yeah.
What if I can't? What happens if I fail?
Then Zion will fall.
See, she already knows. She already knows. And yet she can't fully tell him. But she knows certain parameters that he has to meet. Otherwise, he will lose. And that's how he has to make a choice, or he has to understand about his dream about Trinity's death. And he has this purpose upon him about what? Saving Zion. Because he's the what? He's the one. We're getting ready to have a shocker here. So now the story morphs into
Our
another
time
thing.
is up. Listen to me, Neo. You can save Zion if you reach the source, but to do that, you will need the Keymaker.
The Keymaker.
Yes, he disappeared some time ago. We did not know what happened to him until now. He's being held prisoner by a very dangerous program. One of the oldest of us. He is called the Merovingian, and he will not let him go willingly.
What does he want?
What do all men with power want?
More power.
More power. Be there at that exact time, and you will have a chance.
All right. So let's look at this again and review what we just seen with her. What are we supposed to learn from her? That conversation that he had with her, as his conscience becomes open. What are we supposed to learn from this conversation? Anybody have any ideas?
For me,
Yeah.
when I think about my life, especially a dream I had years ago when I was young, it was a full color dream, where I was going up this hill. My head was a light, and I had on workman's clothes, and I was leading all these children over the horizon where this light was rising. And that's probably one of the things that sustained me through all the trials of my soul, the things that I went through. It's almost like I was destined to do what I'm doing now, and I just have to understand the responsibility of it.
Right.
And no matter what the choice is, I have to make the choice to move forward.
The thing that we learn from this dialogue between Neo and the Oracle is the complexity of choice and determinism. They are so, like everything else, they are so intertwined with one another that it's not all one and it's not all the other. And yet, what makes life very difficult is dealing with the fears comes from making choices and understanding why we made those choices. Being led and leading. That's why life is so complex. Many times the reason why I think people didn't necessarily want to get into this movie too much, because again the dialogue make you think about, again, your fears, your hesitancies. For example, many people, would rather not make choices. They'd rather for other people to make choices for them. Because that way you can always blame somebody. You don't have to feel responsible for something, But this is all about the idea of the process of awakening. The problem is truly ignorance. We don't know. But the solution is overcoming our fears within ourselves and begin to take deeper responsibility apart from someone else telling you, do this, do that. And this is going to be explained. But before we get to the Merovingian, because the Merovingian is a very important figure, because he takes us to another level to understand the true nature of the problem of life. We need to look at Agent Smith. He appears differently now.
Let's go.
I got nothing but bad news. I'm sorry about that, I surely am. But for what it's worth, you've made a believer out of me. Good luck, kiddo.
In the real history of this particular movie, this is her last scene. She dies in real life after this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. This lady dies in real life. She had, at the time she did it, she actually had terminal cancer. That's why in the third movie, I think her name is Alice White. I think that's her name. She became the Oracle. They had to write kind of a new part in that between the second and third movies. Now here comes Agent Smith.
Kind of interesting. She walked through a door into another dimension.
Yeah.
And actually left the planet.
Yeah, true.
Mr. Anderson.
After she told me did her first
Now listen to this dialogue here.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Whoever it is, he's not reading like an agent.
You see, he's not reading like an agent because he's unplugged. Yet he's still in the matrix.
Prior to seeing him? No.
Then you're aware.
Of what?
Our connection.
I don't fully understand how it happened. Perhaps some part of you imprinted onto me, something overwritten or copied.
It is at this point irrelevant. What matters is that whatever happened for a reason.
And what reason is that?
I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die. With a certain satisfaction, I might add. And then something happened. Something that I knew was impossible, but it happened anyway. You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. Afterward, I knew the rules. I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey. And now here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson. Because of you, I'm no longer an agent of this system. Because of you, I've changed. I'm unplugged. A new man, so to speak, like you, apparently free.
Apparently free. Apparently free.
Congratulations. Thank you. But, as you well know, appearances can be deceiving, which brings me back to the reason why we're here.
See, there we go again. Another why. Why are we here? Listen to his answer.
We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose. Because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
It is purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us.
We are here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We're here to take from you what you tried to take from us. Purpose.
No. Oh, let's keep going.
What's happening to him?
I don't know.
Okay. Now let's understand what's happening here. Because from the Agent Smith perspective, they're here to live out their purpose. They don't understand it, but he knows that purpose is what compelled him, drives him. It's purpose, and they're here to take from him what he's trying to take from them, which is purpose. And notice where he sticks his hand. He sticks his hand in,
Where's in the heart?
He sticks his hand in his heart, which means that he is trying to take away his heart, the center. That's where you change a person. You got to get into their heart, stick them in the heart, like you stick a vampire with a stake in the heart, because that is the center of your life, which is where your purpose is. Okay, you stick them there, and that's he's trying to convert him into one of him. Notice that Smith had figured out a way to what? Duplicate himself. That's why I liken him to kind of like a cancer.
Virus.
It's growth, but it's negative growth. I wonder, you ever figure out why is Smith, in other words, he refused to die and go away and go back to the source. When in the first movie, he was compelled to stay here. But in coming back, notice what he comes back with. He is now trying to destroy him, and he's also, where these other Smiths come from? Those were former agents of the system that he converted into himself. So what do you think he's doing?
He is also rebelling on the system.
He's rebelling.
And maybe he's trying to plan to take over his own.
He want to take on his own, but here's the point. I'm going to throw this at you so you can understand him real quick. He does not want to die. He was supposed to die, but he did not want to accept the end. They say cancer is the refusal of a cell to follow its program to die. Cell program death. And therefore, a cancer is nothing more than a cell that should have run its program and should have died and be dismissed out the body. But it fights to what? And it does by what? Replicating itself throughout the body. That's what Smith is doing. All right, that's pretty deep, isn't it? Let's move.
Is there some significance in his name?
They say what now?
Is there some significance in Agent Smith's name?
I really think it is, but I really there is a significance in his name. I'm gonna hold that back. I want to do some more research on that a little bit later. We're gonna explain this fight scene when we do the third installment next week. All these things about the fight and everything. This fight that going because it's gonna be really big in the third movie. Okay. Let's move now to the conflict with the Merovingian. Whoops. Let's go back here. All right, here we go. Let's meet the Merovingian. This is another great story. Catch some symbolism here. Morpheus, Trinity, and Neo.
What can you see, Neo?
It's strange. The code is somehow different.
Encrypted?
Maybe.
Is that good for us or bad for us?
Well, it looks like every floor is wired with explosives.
Bad for us.
Here we go.
What you see?
101.
101. When's the last time you see the number 101?
The apartment.
Neo's apartment. That's exactly right. Program language, binary code.
Which was it there?
Yes, we are here to speak with the Merovingian.
Of course. He has been expecting you. Follow me.
Just so we can catch this right now, I'm going to pause it at a certain point so you can see something. Remember it for next week. Whoops. Remember that face right there. You'll see him again.
Ah, here he is at last. Neo is the one himself. Right?
Now we got this is the Merovingian. We have to figure out what does his character represent. I like to say his character, the Merovingian's character represents the chthonic mind. That inner rebellion, Satan, the underworld, the shadow, the deep shadow, where you have to cross to get to your higher self. Yeah.
And the legendary Morpheus. And Trinity, of course, si belle qu'elle me fait souffrir. I have heard so much of you. Honor me. Please sit. Join us. This is my wife, Persephone.
You say something about her. Persephone. The Merovingian represents the abyss, the chthonic mind, or what we call in Greek mythology, Hades. He's hell, the lower world. Okay? The lower self. The ego at its worst, you may say. Persephone is, in the Greek mythology, she is a prisoner of Hades. Okay? Her mother is Demeter. This is her daughter. And Hades captures her in the wintertime and holds her prisoner. And there has to be a bargain has to be made with Hades to release her so you can have spring. But anyway, that's Persephone.
Something to eat? Drink?
Hmm?
That movie, the light that they,
Mm-hmm.
what's his name?
Perry Stuckey. Not Perry Stuckey.
Jackson.
Percy Jackson.
And in that movie, wasn't her name Persephone?
Persephone, yeah.
Yeah, he captured that after a bargain.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the Greek mythology. So he is obviously Hades, and that's Persephone. That's his wife in the Matrix.
Right. Of course, such things are contrivances like so much here, for the sake of appearances.
No, thank you.
Yes, of course. Who has time?
Who has time? But then if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time?
Now listen to this dialogue.
Château Aubryon, 1959. Magnificent wine. I love French wine. Like I love the French language. I have sampled every language. French is my favorite. Fantastic language. Especially to curse with. Nom de Dieu, de putain, de bordel, de merde, de saloperie, de connard.
Those are real curse words, by the way.
Wiping your ass with silk. I love it.
Oh, y'all laughing too much. You gotta go back and get this.
Lines in that movie.
Okay, now watch this.
You know why we are here.
That's the question. Why are we here? Morpheus asking the question, why are we in your restaurant? But the deeper question is, why are we here? That we have to answer. Listen to what Hades has to say.
I am a trafficker of information. I know everything I can. The question is, do you know why you are here?
That's the question. You see, do you know why you are here? And that's the question you can ask. You come to me and you say, well, Brother Bullard, tell me what's the purpose of life? In other words, why am I here? This fellow throws the question back at you. Do you know why you're here? Watch it.
We are looking for the key maker.
And look at his response. We're looking for the key maker. Now just think about his answer. We're looking for the key maker. Listen.
Oh yes, it is true. The key maker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The key maker himself is very nature, is a means, it is not an end. And so
there you go. The key maker is not a reason, it's not a why, it is a means. He's breaking it down. See if you really do understand what's going on.
to look for him is to be looking for a means to do what?
You know the answer to that question.
You know the answer to that question. But notice what the Merovingian says.
But do you?
Do you know the answer to the question? Okay, now this is very important because this is where a lot of people really get hung up in life. I'm going to let this kind of go on a little bit.
You think you do, but you do not. You are here because you were sent here. You were told to come here and then you obeyed. It is, of course, the way of all things.
Now, that's very important because most people simply just that. Their purpose is tied to what they've been told to. It's like when I teach my humanities class and I ask kids what they believe. They believe what they've been told to believe. They spit back answers that they have heard redundantly over and over and over again. But they have never really thought about what they are saying and why they are saying it because they really don't know the question why. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you do what you do? Why do you behave the way you behave? Do you know the reason why you behave the way you behave? Do you know why you feel what you feel? Do you really know why? Do you know the origin and the cause of why you are who you are? Why you say what you say? Do you know why? Or simply you're following a prophet, or you're following an oracle, or you just reading what a preacher has told you, or whatever. What is your thought? What do you understand about your true nature? Do you, in other words, as the ancient Africans would say, do you know yourself? Or are you simply a program following an order?
You see, there is only one constant, one universal. It is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction, cause, and effect. Everything begins with choice.
See, he thinks everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
So what he's saying to you is that for the most part is that your free will is an illusion. You think you're making a choice. But in actuality, you are making a choice, and a false choice, based upon what those in power have led you to believe that you are actually in control.
Or the options they've given you.
This is what they call, I can't think of the guy's name right now, it's a book called necessary illusions. In other words, in our society that believes it's democratic, that believes that we vote presidents in and we the hands that pick cotton pick president, all those are just slogans, little words to make you feel comfortable in your oppression, in your slavery. Because if you really thought, if you really knew that you were not in control, if you really consciously live with the reality that you are programmed, that we have set this thing up whereby we know exactly what you're going to choose, we study you, we know what kind of potato chips you like, what type of drink you buy, we know what type of toilet paper you prefer and everything, you would rebel. You rebel. But we have already studied and we have put certain things out there to manipulate your behavior. Most people assume that they're free thinking. We assume that we really made a choice between Barack Obama and what's the first guy, John McCain, and the second guy, what was his name? Romney. But did you make a choice? Was the choice simply between Republicans and Democrats? Blue and red? Or blue pill, red pill? Were those the only choices? No, those are the only choices that were presented to you.
Look there.
He gives an example.
My God, just look at her. Affecting everyone around her, so obvious, so bourgeois, so boring. What you see, I have sent her a dessert. A very special dessert. I wrote it myself. It starts so simply. Each line of the program creating a new effect, just like poetry. First, a rush, heat, her heart flutters. You can see it now, yes?
You see, he's manipulating her. Like most people are.
Understand why? Is it the why? No. What is it then? What is the reason? And soon it does not matter. Soon the why and the reason are gone. And all that matters is the feeling itself. And this is the nature of the universe. We struggle against it, we fight to deny it, but it is, of course, pretends it is a lie. Beneath our poised appearance, the truth is we are completely.
Now, what is he trying to demonstrate here? That we are slaves to our passions. People think they're making choices, but the people who can control your primal instincts, they've already studied your instinct. They know what you like. They know what's really in your deep chthonic mind, your abyss. See, and this is what the point is when we talk about Satan, the opposer. He studies you. He understands you. And he knows that beyond our sense of morality and ethics and composure and civilization, you're a freak. You want that cake. You want that. Is that in the end result is you are a slave to your own passion. And instead of trying to deny it, he says what? You have to accept that this is your essential nature. Cause and effect. So he gives her a program that puts her out of control. She's feeling something now. She ate something.
Causality.
It made her hot. Made her sweat inside her clothes.
Our only hope, our only peace is to understand it, to understand.
And listen to this, listen to this.
Why is what separates us from them. You from me. Why is the only real source of power? Without it, you are powerless. And this is how you come to me. Without why, without power. Another link in the chain. But
so there you go. That's how the system of this world looks at us as people who don't have awareness of who we are, why we are. What are the forces within you that are motivating you, moving you? These are forces that are alive. These are the inner gods and goddesses within you, those passions, those desires that you don't know why you have them. You know, why does a dog chase the cat? You know, why? Do you have this particular nature about you that says that this is what I am? Do you know why you are what you are? Why you behave the way you behave? And when you come to a person who really understands you better than you, and you're asking them questions like that, and you don't know why yourself, you come powerless. You understand the reason why the second movie wasn't that popular now, can't you? Because most people are powerless. They don't understand not just why, they don't understand why. They only have partial answers. Because why? Why do you think they only have partial answers? Because they are not doing self-examination. They're only following what others have told them who they are. Be it a preacher, be it a parent, be it a teacher, be it somebody in the street or whatever. You have not done self-examination as to why.
You're not. Since I have seen how good you are at following orders, I will tell you what to do next. Run back and give the fortune teller this message. Our time is almost up. Now I have some real business to do, so I will say adieu and goodbye. This isn't over. Oh yes, it is. The keymaker is mine, and I see no reason why I should give him up. No reason at all.
Now watch this last part here.
Where are you going?
Please, my chérie, I've told you, we are all victims of causality. I drink too much wine. I must take a piece. Cause and effect.
Now what's getting ready to happen is he turned that girl on and he's going to meet her in the bathroom and take care of some business. Persephone knows that. What happens from here is that she decides to betray him and take them to the keymaker for only one thing. If Neo would kiss her. That's all she wanted was a kiss. And Trinity doesn't like that because Trinity in love, she views that as a betrayal. So, but Trinity has to sacrifice her desire for her man all to herself for the good of Zion and let him kiss her. All right. So, anybody got any questions? Let's move to the last part of this movie, and we'll go to the Matrix. Go to the Architect. That's her. What we got going on here? All right.
I'll give you what you want, but you have to give me something.
What?
A kiss. Excuse me. I want you to kiss me as if you were kissing her.
Why?
You love her. She loves you. It's all over you both. A long time ago, I knew what that felt like. I want to remember it. I want to sample it. That's all. Just a sample.
Why don't you sample this instead?
Trinity.
Passions.
Such emotion over something so small. It's just a kiss.
Why should we trust you?
If I don't deliver you to the keymaker, she can kill me.
All right. Can't you blame a girl looking like that?
But you have to make me believe I am her.
All right.
No problem. No problem.
Terrible. Forget it.
Wait.
Let me get this right.
Okay.
Look at it. That's all she wants to do is get next to her. Look at it. You see her throat go up and down?
That would happen to each woman in this room. That really happened.
All right, y'all. That's enough of that.
Hope it's working, Neo.
They find the key maker. Let's move on. Let's get to the. They find the key maker. He's mad. His wife betrays him. Neo goes to another fight, and so let's move on from that. We got a long ways to go here. Let's get through the things.
27 blocks.
This is let me show you that this is the plan they're gonna make to get inside the machine mainframe. Just listen to this language here.
One door leads to the source. This building is protected by a very secure system. Every alarm triggers
That's the key maker,
the
by the way.
bomb. Did he say bomb? But like all systems, it has a weakness. The system is based on the rules of a building. One system built on another.
Electricity.
If one fails, so must the other.
No electricity, no alarms.
But you'd have to take out a whole city block to kill the power to a building like that.
Not one, 27.
27 blocks?
There's a power station. It must be destroyed.
There must be some kind of failsafe.
Yes, there is an emergency system. The core network of the grid must be accessed.
Now this is what Neo was dreaming about in the very beginning of the movie.
And what do you need us for? Neo can take them both out easier than we can.
See, that's the thing. That's why we asked the question last week about why did Jesus need disciples? Why does God need angels? Why don't he just do it all? That's the same question. See, you're not going to have a Messiah going to do everything for you. You got to take a chance too.
No time.
Why?
Once the door is unprotected, the connection will be severed. But another connection must first be made.
How long will that take?
Exactly 314 seconds.
That's pi. 1.4. This door to open the door.
Just over 5 minutes. That is the length and breadth of the window. Only the one can open the door. And only during that window can the door be opened.
How do you know all this?
I know because I must know. It is my purpose. It is the reason I'm here. The same reason we're all...
Okay, let's move on a bit further.
All right, I get paid to count them here.
Let's move on. Morpheus gives a speech encouraging everybody that either with this day we live or we die. Let's move on to Morpheus. The thing breaks down. He tells Trinity he does not want her to go into the Matrix, and because he fears that something's going to happen to her based upon his dream. So
I will not stand here and do nothing.
she defies his order.
Then die.
Trinity, we're talking less than 5 minutes here.
In 5 minutes, I'll tear that whole goddamn building down.
How much further?
She don't want. She knows that Morpheus, as soon as Neo open that door, it'll blow up. So she has to bring down the thing, the building. Notice who's there protecting him from going there. Agent Smith. Why does he want that? Because he realized that
That's as close as I can get.
it would bring him to an end.
Operator,
I'm in.
keep moving, 65th floor.
Look surprised to see me again, Mr. Anderson. Well, that's the difference between us. I've been expecting you.
What do you want, Smith?
Oh, you haven't figured that out? Still using all the muscles except the one that matters. I want exactly what you want. I want everything.
Would that include a bullet from this gun?
Go ahead, shoot. The best thing about being me, there's so many me.
Alright, so that's another fight scene. We gotta get through all this. Get the Morpheus going through the door. He's in. Let's move on from that. He gives him the key so he can go into the door. Now this is the scene we want to see right here. This is where the mystery unfolds. Notice the first question that is asked and the response. We meet now the architect, the one who invented the Matrix. Those are all the multiple personalities within Neo. Just like there are multiple personalities within every one of us.
Hello, Neo. Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Okay, let's stop there. First of all, he's a white man in a white suit, white beard. The Oracle is a black woman. What do you think the point is? These are all characters that represent every aspect of yourself. He represents the left side of the brain, the logical side, the mathematical side. She represents the right side of the brain, the relational side, the intuitive side. Okay? So notice how he speaks. He speaks logically, using a lot of program language concurrently, assiduously, ergo, the kind of like Aristotelian logic, duality, okay, that kind of thing. The first question he told him may be the most pertinent, but you may have not realized it is also the most irrelevant. This is where everything breaks down here.
Why am I here?
Why am I here? Why are we in the Matrix? Why does this Matrix exist?
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix.
Do you understand that? Your life, let's look at it again. Let's break it down again.
You are the eventual.
Okay.
Now realize it is also the most.
I'm going to break it down for you.
Why am I here? Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix.
His life is the, let me get my notes out of his speech. He says this is what he says. He says your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent in the programming of the Matrix. Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation. Their whole thing is to create a perfect matrix. He, Neo, is a answer or remaining sum of the fact that they could not balance the program of the Matrix. They could not balance it. They could not figure out a way to make a perfect program that would not have fluctuations or changes. This will become more clear as we go on.
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision.
He thought that he could create, based upon using computer mathematics 101 binary codes, what? The perfect program that had no fluctuations. You want to create a Garden of Eden. You want to create a perfect world. You want to create a world whereby there's no evil, no sin, no deflection of whatever kind. But he could not, despite his sincerest efforts. He is what we would call in the Western world the philosopher's God, a logician, where everything always ends up like in when you're doing accounting, a balance sheet, where you end up with what? Nothing lost, nothing gained, perfect. Like I was told when I used to do taxes, the perfect tax is not that you get anything back. That's an imbalance. You know what I'm saying? The government took too much, therefore you got to get something back. Or definitely unbalanced if you owe something. The perfect tax report is zero. You owe them nothing, they owe you nothing. The perfect life is when you get to the point whereby there's no sin, no karma, no anything. He said Neo is the result of an inherent problem in the program of the Matrix. Somehow or another, people keep messing up, and he could not solve that in trying to control humanity. He wants to control humanity. He wants to make sure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted.
While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control.
A measure of control.
Which has led you inexorably here.
Now that's important, because it is the imbalance or his imperfection that leads Neo to him. Why is that?
The imbalance of his perfection.
That's right. In other words, yet he could not stop the imperfection, but it was not beyond a measure of control, which led him here. It's going to get clear after a while.
You haven't answered my question. Quite right.
What question did he ask? He told him what?
It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Why are you here? The fact is, you're here to do for a purpose. You're here to do a job. But he didn't answer his question. But he did give him some significant information as to what led you here.
That was quicker than the others. Others?
Now he just dropped the bomb on it. Others what? Well, what is Neo? He's the one. He's the what? Messiah. He's the one that's going to do what? Save humanity. But apparently, this man said that was quicker. His figuring out his purpose or what's wrong was quicker than who? That means that there have been other what?
Saviors.
There have been other saviors. Now he's in confusion. See how that? The matrix is older than you know. Like we could say, people normally think from the Christian standpoint, faith, Judeo-Christian faith, the earth is 6,000 years old. But he said the matrix is older than you know, the earth is older than you know.
I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which
the emergence of the integral anomaly to the emergence of the next is another Neo. He's the anomaly. He's an integral anomaly from a computer standpoint.
This is the sixth version.
5 months before. There were only 2 possible explanations. There were 5 months before. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
That's the point. No one knows. No one told him because they didn't know. Morpheus doesn't know this. No one knows this but the architect and the oracle and the Merovingian. That's why they could always be ahead of him, because they had already seen this program run before. what we're discovering, guess who's a program other than just the architect, the Merovingian, and the Oracle? No, not Morpheus. He's not a program. Neo is a program.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Those are all the emotions that he want to say, but he's beginning to realize, he says, the anomaly. He's the anomaly. He is the part of the program that does not fit. All humanity has been figured out. He's the anomaly. But he's a necessary anomaly, a purposeful, created anomaly. He's a part of the system of control himself.
Choice. The problem is choice.
He figured it out. The problem of what's causing all these fluctuations in terms of what happened with the Agent Smith, why he didn't die in the first movie, because what? He made a choice to disobey. In other words, choice is what messes up perfection. Like we said before, if God is a free agent, a free being, whatever God makes is made with the same essence as the maker. It's not a robot. Everything takes on the characteristics of its maker. This is deep, man. This is... In fact, we can say that Neo is similar to what we would know as Jesus. Part human, part divine. Neo is, in other words, like an image of Jesus. He's part man, part God. But he's also part human. In this story, Neo is part human and part what? Part machine. That's why he could move so fast, like the machines. Because he was one with them. That's why he could pick up on Agent Smith.
Yeah, he sensed him.
He could sense him because he's one of them. And he could love like a human because he's part human. He's a demigod. That's exactly right.
The first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history, to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure. I have since come to understand that the answer eluded me because it required a lesser mind, or perhaps a mind less bound by the parameters of perfection. Thus, the answer was stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program.
I wonder who was that? The Oracle. The intuitive program is the Oracle.
Initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche. If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother. The Oracle. Please. As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level. While this answer functioned, it was obviously fundamentally flawed, thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself. Ergo, those that refuse the program.
Ergo means therefore.
While a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster.
This is about Zion.
So in other words, he's figuring out that the reason why the one exists is because the machine world or the programming of the Matrix demanded that you had to give human beings a choice. Otherwise, they will keep figuring out something is wrong. In other words, because our nature is such whereby we can ascend and we can descend, we can go left, we can go right, and you can't always predict and control what we're going to do because of this thing called choice. Choice is the problem when you're trying to control somebody. Choice is the problem. Therefore, what they figured out that was key to do is give people the illusion of choice, because they knew eventually all their worlds, the many worlds we come up with, will be flawed, because there is no such thing as perfection. The Bible says that which is crooked can be made straight, which brings us to a deeper question. Is God perfect?
I guess that depends on the definition of perfect. Yeah.
If you define yourself as perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's relevant.
Is God perfect? The world's not perfect. Was the world ever perfect? Or maybe, as you said, how we define perfect. Maybe, many times when we say, man, things are wrong, this is not right, maybe they are as they should be. Maybe the world is simply reflecting the nature of reality, that you have ascending and descending orders. You have duality. That is really oneness expressing itself to keep balance. That is, to make sure that it never gets too far one way or the other way. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, as you have negative, you must have positive. Because in order to have life, you got to have both. You got to have good and you must have evil. But you never wanted to get to be so evil that it's all absolute. It's relative evil because it has to be balanced and kept in check by good. Therefore, Batman will always be in war with Joker. And that's what keeps it going. Male, female, left, right, yin, yang, saint, sinner. See, one of the things that really concerns me with a lot of do-good people, in that fact that they want to erase the so-called clubs, or they want to take away free will and force people to go this way and that way, live this way and live that way. They create a greater evil. Because by trying to destroy this side of the necessary side of life, which we call evil, they create imbalances that makes it even more, and it requires the other side to come in. In other words, we are all tangled together. We're all tangled together. We must learn how to balance these forces. These forces will keep themselves in balance. That's what Ma'at is. It's a balancing force. A balancing force of what? Not all good. But as soon as things get what we call perfect, in order for evolution and growth to take place, you gotta have the opposing force. Therefore, i.e., consequently, you need a Satan. Because you can't take too much goodness, because you are here to grow, to evolve to the next level. This is all about evolution. Therefore, it's all evolving. To the next level of development. It reaches a certain homeostasis, and then eventually it loses balance. But the losing of balance is only a signal that it's getting ready to go to another level. That's why it's not proper to think of blackness or darkness as that which needs to be get rid of, because it is the darkness is nothing more what we call dark matter, dark energy, whatever, the dark forces. These are nothing more than potentiality that comes to the system, it trying to go to the next level. When we try to hang on to the same old thing and everything and stay as we are working against the primal directive of all creation, which is to evolve.
You are here because Zion is about to be destroyed. Its every living inhabitant terminated, its entire existence eradicated.
Bullshit.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses. But rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we have become exceedingly efficient at it.
People many times ask the question, is the world going to end? Is the world going to end? Depends on what you mean. Because you think about it, we have think about this, what they're saying in terms of the way we look at the world. You've had the fall of Eden, rebooted. We come back. We have the flood of Noah. The earth reboots, comes back. Not this time by water, next time by fire. That's not the end. It reboots. Life never ends. It only transforms. In other words, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only transforms.
The function of the One is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program. After which you will be required to select from the matrix 23 individuals, 16 female, 7 male, to rebuild Zion. Failure to comply with this process will result in a cataclysmic system crash, killing everyone connected to the matrix.
There you go. In other words, the function of the One is to what? Reboot the system. In other words, they're going to destroy. They don't even want to destroy all the humans. They want a significant number of humans, 23, to survive, so they can reboot the program and we start over again. They have figured out that the issue is not destroying humanity. It's just letting humanity grow to a certain point because of the nature of the fact that we keep waking up, and we're gonna try to come against them. They know they have the upper hand. Let them build Zion up and rejoice and be happy that the millennium is coming. The honey and the milk and flowing honey is coming. The new day, the apocalypse is coming. We're gonna have a new heaven and new earth. And then in that pipe dream, select 2 or 23 out of that, start over, and then that group will only know that this is they'll think that they're the first group, and they'll start the whole process of saving, of prophecy, and everything. The prophecy itself was a part of control. Who was wrong? Morpheus. And Neo, thinking that he was the one to save humanity, yeah, he's going to save humanity. But he's also going to save who? The machine world. That's their ace in the hole. But they got a problem. Who's the problem? Agent Smith. He's the problem. Because he's a threat